Hello, good morning, friend. I am Amit Bankar, working as an assistant professor with Department of Computer Engineering at SMD College of Engineering, Yeola. So, friends, we have started here the online lecture series on the subject Fundamentals of Data Structure, which is based on the syllabus of Savitribai Phule Pune University. So, let us see the examination scheme for the fundamentals of data structure. So this particular subject involves theory and practical. The theory is based on 100 marks. So mid semester theory is carry 30 marks. End semester theory exam carries 70 marks. Friends, for end semester theory exam, the minimum passing criteria is 28 marks. So you will have to achieve 28 marks minimum. So for practical, the term work will carry 25 marks and practical will carry 50 marks. So here is the course contents. So basically these fundamentals of data structure has included 6 units. First unit is based on the introduction of data structure and algorithm. Second unit is based on the linear data structure using sequential organization. Third unit, in that we will discuss about the various searching and sorting techniques. Fourth unit is based on linked list. Then we will study stack in the unit number 5, and in the last unit we will discuss on the queue. So here is the overview of the course content. So friends, let us begin with our very first unit, that is Introduction to Algorithm and Data Structure. Friend, in computer engineering, data structure is a very core subject. If you understand each and every concept thoroughly, you will be improve your practical skill, and which will be helpful for your career also. So friend, let us start with our first unit. So first we will overview on the contents. So here is the contents we are going to discuss in the very first lecture. Introduction, data structure classification, then we will discuss abstract data types. So why we have to study this particular subject, data structure? So basically the need of studying data structure is here. In data structure we are organizing the data. In data structure we are going to solve complex problem. Okay, so this is the need of studying this particular topic, that is data structure. So friends, before discussing this unit, we have to first discuss the basic concepts like what is data, what is information, what is knowledge. So friends, what is data? So basically data are simply collection of facts and figures, or we can say that data are the values or set of value. What is information? So information is a process form of data. What is knowledge? So basically knowledge is one step ahead of the information. Okay, so if you understand this concept, data, information and knowledge, so we will discuss on the next topic, data item. So basically data item, we will refer to a single unit of values. We can categorize data item into two different parts, that is group item and elementary item. So for that, if you see one example of student as a database. Okay, so when we are looking that student as a database as an example, so which are the different elements belonging to this student database? So we have different elements, that is ID, name, age, address, gender. So if you observe this particular diagram of the student database, so ID, age, gender, first name, middle name, last name, street, area. So these we treat as elementary data items, whereas name, address we treat as a group data. Okay, means what is group data? Means the group data is nothing but we can further divided that group data. Okay, so let us move on to what exactly the concept of data structure. So friends, data structure is nothing but the logical, or we can say mathematical model of a particular organization of data. So in computer science, basically data structure is a particular way of organization of data and storing of data in computer memory. Okay, so that we are going to access that data very efficiently. That is a, we say that that is a data structure. So after that we will discuss classification of data structure. So if you observe this diagram of data structure, so data structure we can categorize into two parts: primitive data structure and non-primitive data structure. So let us discuss what is primitive data structure and what is non-primitive data structure. So primitive data structure or primitive data type, we also called as built-in data types. For example, integer, boolean, character, float, etc. So these are the primitive data type or built-in data types. Okay, if you move on to the non-primitive data structure, it can be further divided into two types. That is linear data structure and non-linear data structure. So linear data structure, again, we have the example, that is arrays, linked list, queue, stack. And in non-linear, we are going to discuss about trees and graphs. So friend, here is the diagram of classification of data structure. So we will discuss each and every things, that is primitive and non-primitive data structure. Okay, so let us move on to what is linear data structure and what is non-linear data structure. So friends, linear data structure is nothing but in which the elements we are going to store in a particular sequence. Okay, means the data or element are stored sequentially. Okay, so such type of data structure we called as linear data structure. So let us see the example of linear data structure, that is arrays, linked list, queues and stack. Then non-linear data structure. So this is again a data structure basically used to represent the data which contains a hierarchical relationship between elements. For example, tree, graph, etc. So friends, let us revise what we have discussed regarding data structure and data. So hope you understood what exactly data. So again, we can also define data as a collection of numbers, alphabets and symbol which combines to represent the information very clearly. That is a data. And what is data structure? Data structure is nothing but the collection of elements and all possible operations which require for those set of elements. That is another definition of data structure. Okay, or simply in other word or in a generalized way, we can say that a data structure tells us which are the elements required in our data, as well as which are the various legal operation we are going to perform on that set of elements. That is a data structure. Okay, so if you see the example of these data, that is date of birth. Okay, so when we are going to see this example of date of birth, so it contains three different elements, or it has three parameters, that is day, month and year. Okay, so in this example of date of birth, so DOB, we, that is date of birth, is nothing but the composite data, and the elements belonging to date of birth, that is day, month and year, we treat as a atomic data. Okay, so let us see what exactly the concept of atomic data and composite data. So friends, atomic data, or we can say that the non-decomposable entity, means that entity we cannot further divide it. So if you observe day, month, year, we treat as a atomic data. So we can't further divide this entity. That is a atomic data. So for example, if you take example of any integer value, for example, I have mentioned here 525 or any character value. Okay. So we can't further divide these integer value, or we can't divide that character values. Okay, if we further divided that integer value or character value, then we will lose the meaning of that integer. Okay, what we will get after dividing these integer 525? So we will get 5 comma 2 comma 5. So obviously the meaning of 525 will be lost. Okay, that is a atomic data, means we can't further divide it. So what is composite data? Composite data are the data in which we are going to form composition of several atomic data, and further we can divide that data into atomic data. That is a composite data. So date of birth is the example of composite data. Okay, friends, in the data structure, so there is again a very important concept we are going to discuss here, that is static data structure and dynamic data structure. Okay, so static data structure we will going to discuss here. So what exactly is static data structure? So basically in static data structure we have the fixed size of memory, means when we are going to allocate the size. Okay, so first we have to allocate the size, then we are going to use that particular concept. Whereas in dynamic data structure we don't need to allocate the size. Okay, so basically in dynamic data structure we can allocate the memory as per our requirement. Okay, and suppose if we don't want to use some block of memory, so we can deallocate also. Okay, that is a difference between static data structure and dynamic data structure. So if you see the example of static data structure, so arrays in C is the example of static data structure. So in which first what we have to do? So first we have to allocate the size of the arrays before going to use it. So what is the disadvantages of the static data structure? So the disadvantages of static data structure is the size may be wasted, or we require some larger memory of size. Whereas in dynamic data structure, we are using the memory as per our requirement. That is a static data structure and dynamic data structure. Okay. So example of dynamic data structure is your linked list. Okay. So if you observe this example, okay. So linked list. So this is the example of linked list. It consists of, for example, the data element that is 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. So basically linked list is divided into two parts. The first part consists of data, and second part consists of the address of the next node. Okay. If you observe this first node, okay, in the first part we have stored the data value, that is 10. Okay, and in the second part of that block we have stored the address of the next node. Okay, so that is the representative of the linked list. Okay, So user can create as much as nodes, or we treat as a memory, okay, as he wants, or he can deallocate the memory, okay, when he or she is not using that particular block. So that is the static and dynamic data structure. Okay, so let us move on to the next concept, that is persistent data structure. So what is persistent data structure? The, the data structure which retain their previous state and modification, which can be done by performing certain operation on it, we treat as a persistent data structure. If you see the example of stack, okay, so we have different state, okay, so in the stack, suppose the stack is empty initially, okay, and suppose in the state 1 we have inserted element 10, then we have inserted element 20, then 30, okay. So in the state 1 we have the 3 element which we have inserted into the stack, okay. That is, in the stack, when we are going to insert element, so we call as a push operation we have performed on the stack, okay. So we have push 10, 20, 30 elements in the stack, okay. So this is your state 2. So state 1 and state 2, so these are the two stages, okay. In the third state, suppose we want to remove one element, okay. So in removal in stack, we call as a popping operation, okay. So if you popping the element which is on the top of the stack, so obviously in stack, how we are going to remove or pop the element? The element which is present at the top, that we will remove, okay. Suppose if you remove element 30, okay. So in the state number 4, okay, if you observe state number 4, which contained two elements, that is 10 and 20. That means we have gained the previous state of stack after performing a pop operation. That is a persistent data structure. So again, I am repeating the definition. What is persistent data structure? The data structure which retain their previous state, means the data structure will find out the previous state, and modification can be done by performing certain operation, okay. Means if you observe the state 4 and if you observe the state 1 of figure B, that is same. If you observe that stack, it contains state 1 of figure B contains 10 and 20 element, and in the state 4 we have the same elements, that is 10 and 20, means, so we call as a persistent data structure. That is, we have retained the previous state. So which is the previous state we have achieved? That is in the state 1 of figure B. That is a persistent data structure. Then we will discuss the ephemeral data structure. So it is opposite of that persistent data structure. So in that we cannot retain its previous state. For example, Q. Q is the example of ephemeral data structure. So in that, elements are inserted by one end and deleted by other end. So let us see example of Q. Suppose we have inserted 10, 20, 30 in the queue. Okay. So in the first we have insert 10, then 20, then 30. Okay. And suppose after deletion of 10, so in the last figure, that is 10, 20 and 30. So this is the state in that queue, if you delete 10, okay, so we will get the queue in this way, 10 and 20. Okay, so if you observe all states, okay, so this final state, that is which contain only 20 and 30 elements, this state is not matching with any other previous state. Okay, so that is a ephemeral data structure. It is opposite of persistent data structure. So obviously what happen in the persistent data structure, we can retain the previous state, and in ephemeral data structure we cannot retain the previous state. Okay, so what is data type? So before going to discuss, we are going to discuss what exactly data type. So what is exactly data types? A data type is a term which refers to a kind of data that variable may hold in a programming language. For example, integer A. So what is integer? What is int? So int, so in this example, int is nothing but the data type. And what is A? Name of the variable. So this variable A holds the integer as a data type. Okay, and in the next example, char student means we have created one variable named student which has the data type character. So these are the example of data type. Okay, so friends, let us see the relationship between the data structure and algorithm. So algorithm part we will discuss in the our next video lecture. So let's overlook the relationship between data structure and algorithm. So friends, in computer science, when we are going to solve any problem, okay, so we require data, and the data structure that will arrange the data in some specific manner, and we require algorithm which will handle the data structure in some systematic manner. So friends, data structure and algorithm, these concepts are interrelated with each other. When in the next lecture series, when we are going to solve any problem, then you will come to know what exactly the relationship between data structure and algorithm. So again, we can say that what is data structure? Is the means by which we can model the problem. Okay, so for example, arrays. So friend, if you see example of arrays, it contains integer elements. Okay, that is we treat as a data, which are arranged in a particular sequential organization. That is a data structure of the arrays. And then a particular algorithm which we are going to apply on the array. The algorithm may be your addition of elements, sorting of element, or removing of elements. Okay. So with the help of this example of array, we can relate the terms data structure and algorithm. Hope you understand these concepts. Friends, let us move on to very important and interesting topic, that is ADT, that is abstract data type. So friend, first we will overlook what exactly the meaning of abstract, or what is the meaning of abstraction. So friend, generalized definition of abstraction means we hiding something from the others, that is abstraction. Okay, means in that we are hiding the implementation part, we are just only showing the essential things. If you see the example of television, okay, so friends, the user only has the information of how the television operated, means how the television is switch on, switch off, how we are going to change the channel, etc. So these things only user knows, rather than the architecture or functionality of the television, how it works, which ICs or which electronic parts it contains. So these things hide from the user. So this is a very simple example of abstraction. So friend, let us move on to the definition of ADT, that is abstract data types. The abstract data type is a triple of D set of domain, then F set of function, A that is axioms, in which only what is to be done is mentioned, but how is to be done is not mentioned. That is the abstract data types. Thus, in short, we can say that ADT allows programmer to hide the implementation part. So we call it as an abstract. Okay, let us see an example. If you want to write ADT for a set of integer, okay, so then we will use the following method. So friends, henceforth, if you understood the concept of ADT, so in the remaining units or each and every units, you will ask the question like write ADT for, okay, for linked list, for queue, for stack, etc., or for array. So this is very important concept from the exam point of view. Okay, so let us see the example of ADT for integer. So this is the way of writing the ADT for the integer. So abstract data type, then set. Okay, so this is the standard form of writing the ADT for anything. Okay, so in that I have written the instances, okay, and the various operations. So friend, basically ADT involves instances and the operations. So let us see the instances for the integer. So in that, instances are nothing but the set of collection of integer of type elements. Okay, so suppose that particular data type has any precondition, so we can also mention it. Okay, so which are the various operations we are going to perform on that set of integers? So these are the set of operation, three operations, that is store, retrieve, and display. That is, store means, so this operation is basically used for storing the integer into that particular set. Then second operation is retrieve. So this operation basically is used for retrieving the desired element from the given set of elements. And finally, third operation, that is display. So this display operation is for displaying the content of the set. Okay, so this is the abstract or ADT we have discussed for the set of integer. Okay, so it has particular format. I have mentioned the details how to write the ADT. Okay, so let us discuss ADT for arrays. Okay, so when we are going to write ADT for any data, okay, so for example array, okay, so we have to write in this way. You have to write these open and close curly brackets, okay, and in that we have to write the instances and operations related to that particular ADT. So in this example, we are going to discuss the ADT for arrays. Okay, so in that I have written the instances, or simply we can say that the instances means definition and operation various operation related to the arrays. Okay, so what is instances? So an array A which has some size, index I, and total number of elements in an array n. So this is the instance for an array. Operations. So which are the various operations we are going to perform on array? That is storing of element, displaying of elements. Okay, so these are the two operations. Okay, so friends, let us move on to what exactly the concept array is. So basically array is a collection of similar elements, or we can say that it is a linear collection of atoms. That atoms are indexed with for the preservation of the position of particular atom in the list. Okay, so if you see this example, how we are going to write the array. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 8, 10. So these are the elements of an array, or simply we can say that the value or the data we are stored in the array. Okay, then index. Okay, over that I have written the index position, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the index position of each and every value. Means if you see which is the index position of the value 4, so we can say that the index position of value 4 is 2. Means at index position number 2, the value 4 is stored. Okay, and after that the locations, that is memory location, that is 10,000, oh sorry, 1000, 1004, 1008, 1012, 1016, 120, 1020 and 1024. So these are the addresses or the locations on which that array elements are stored. So friends, so you may arise the question that why here I have written 1000 and directly 1004. So friend, when we are storing the integer data type and when we are talking about integer in C language, so in C language integer require 4 byte to store. Means for storing that data value 2, it requires 4 bytes. So obviously after that 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003. So these positions is stored for the data value 2. And after 1003, that is 1004 is the memory location for the next data value. Okay, that is an array. We will discuss this array in the second unit also. So let us discuss more on ArrayDT. Okay, so basically ArrayDT we treat as a index and value, or simply we can say that it is a order pair. So if you observe this diagram, okay, ArrayDT, so I have written here 0, 40, 1, 30, 2, 50. So this is the order pair of index and value. So first number represent the index position and second integer represent the value. Means 40 value is stored at the 0th index position. Okay, so how we are going to define the ArrayDT? It contains different objects. Okay, object 1, object 2, object 3. So we can store list of value in each object. Okay, so it's like C++ class. Okay, So what is array editing? Okay, so what is array editing? An array is what we say that the set of pairs. Which are the set of pairs? That is index and values. Okay, so what is ADT? Okay, so I have just discussed, you have to write ADT for each and every concept. Okay, so it is very important how we are going to write the ADT for any data. Okay, so there is one simple step how to write ADT. Okay, so basically what is ADT? That is, it is used to store the list of values. Okay, when we are talking about ADT, okay, or when we are writing ADT for any, for example, array, linked list, stack queue. So we have to first question, that is how can we are going to store the data. Okay, so when writing that ADT, so first we have to think on the data structure, and then we have to think on the which are the different set of operation we are going to perform on that particular data structure. Okay, so when we are writing the data ADT, we have to discuss on data structure and set of operation. Okay, so hope whatever I have discussed you have understood. So let us move on to more detail about ADT for array, that is array ADT. Okay, so just I have discussed how to write ADT. So first you have to write the data structure, and then you have to write the set of operation. Okay, so when we are writing the array ADT, so what is the data structure? That is, data structure is array. And how we are going to store the element? The element are stored sequentially into the array. Next question, how we are going to write this different set of operation? So for array, so these are the various operation, that is creating an array, then retrieving particular element from the given index, then storing an element at particular index, then modification, then counting number of elements present in the array, and removing particular item from the array. So these are the set of operations related to array. Okay, so these are the operations, that is create array ADT, get value, set value, edit value, okay, get size. So these are the various operations we are going to perform on the array ADT. So friends, let us discuss array versus array ADT. What is array and what is array ADT? In arrays, there is no any mechanism to find how many values are garbage and how many are valid items. But in case of ADT or in case of array ADT, such problem we can be resolved. Okay, means so you can apply count value operations. So we can say that ADT allows programmer to hide the implementation details. Hence, we treat it as a abstract. Okay, thank you friend. In the next lecture, we will discuss on the algorithm. Thank you.